Good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world. It's Anna coming to you again today. And today I have a topic about becoming, the importance of learning and what that means. My nose is itchy again. So, for those of you that don't know me, I am a manifesting mindset coach. I help entrepreneurial women learn to shift their mindset because everything is mindset. Your reality is what you think is what's happening between your ears. If you don't have what you desire in life, it means there's a shift that needs to happen here. And I help entrepreneurial women with that. I help them release what's holding them back and learn to shape the future version of themselves that they want to show up. So today, hi Pam, hi Maria. Today I want to talk about something that's important. All of these bits are important. They're all bits of the puzzle. Everything is like, imagine a 500-piece puzzle, and every one of those little pieces creates the masterpiece. So this is just one of those little puzzles again, and it's something that I've been applying to my life probably for the last 15 years on a consistent basis, if not almost on a daily basis, because what I'm going to share with you today is what shapes your future. It's what shapes your present, your reality. It's what shapes your mind. Now, the importance of learning. So it's all about learning. It's all about expanding your awareness, expanding your consciousness. Now, we only know what we've been exposed to, and most of us have lived very sheltered lives based on what we've seen growing up, based on our education, based on what information that has been handed down from generation to generation within our environment, within our close circle of most of us, we have got a close circle, most of us, a home life, a school life, a work life, and usually a small community life. And we don't normally go outside of those boundaries. Now, we only know what we've been exposed to in those realms, in those paradigms of what society is teaching you in those spaces. So most of us then stay stuck, or most of us really don't know what else there is. And you don't know what you don't know. And when you start to learn new things, and then you start to say, oh my goodness, why didn't I know this? Like, I'm learning stuff these days that I wish I was open to, or I wish I learned in my 20s. My life would be completely different. So, because I had never been exposed to information that alters my mindset. I've never been exposed to information that shifts my reality. I've never been exposed to information that shifts my subconscious beliefs, my paradigm. So when we learn and we grow, we step out of our limited thinking. And it's kind of like repotting a plant. I'll think of it like this. I like to have little kind of visuals. So you imagine you're a plant, okay? You're a plant, and you've been sitting in this pot for probably 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or whatever. If you don't repot, if you don't put that plant or any plant in a bigger pot, it's going to get root bound, and then there's no chance for it to grow. There's no room for it to be nourished. There's no room for it to expand. The same too happens with our mind. If we don't learn and grow on a consistent daily basis, then you're going to end up being root bound in your pot of belief, in your pot of current mindset, the way you see the world. Your current reality is going to be root bound. Okay, so. And I love to look at now when I see people that are doing incredible things in the world, that are, mind shift shakers and movers that are teaching humanity new ways of being, new ways of thinking, new ways of expanding. I always wonder, okay, where did they get that information from? Who taught them? Where did they learn this stuff from? Because you only learn, or everything that you know, you've received from somewhere. Some people receive downloads, but most people have received information from somewhere. They've seen something, they've read something, they got inspired, and then that kind of made them question, wow, I never knew this perspective, or I never thought about this perspective. So So I've been looking at who's been learning from who. Like, for example, Tony Robbins. We see Tony Robbins is a huge motivational speaker who's changing lives around the world, teaching people to believe in themselves and all of the amazing things that he teaches us. And I've actually participated in Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within workshop, a weekend. It was a weekend workshop where we walked hot coals. That was the most scariest thing I've ever done. I don't think I'd ever do it again. But I did it. It was bad. But, I'm just talking about Tony Robbins. And it's like, where did he get his information from? Who was his inspiration? And his inspiration was Jim Rohn. To start with, his inspiration was Jim Rohn. So if we look at Jim Rohn, where was Jim Rohn's inspiration? His inspiration was Earl Shoaff. Now, he talks about Earl Shoaff. He goes, my teacher, Earl Shoaff, taught him this and taught him that. So he was inspired by Earl Shoaff. There's a person that I really admire. His name is Earl Nightingale. He's no longer with us, but he was a radio host in America in the early 1900s, and he was promoting new thought back then. And he was inspired by Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book. So let's see, who else have I got here? And I've mentioned this before, like Louise Hay. She was inspired through the Church of Religious Science. I've also attended the Church of Religious Science in the US. Incredible information. And that is, I can't think of the name. It's slipped my mind. But that was, hi Lynette. But there's teachings. I'm not sure if it's Joseph. I'm not sure if it's Joseph Campbell. But I can't think. Sorry, I've got a blank at the moment. But yeah, Louise Hay learned her information from the Church of Religious Science. Neville Goddard, for example, he's somebody that I'm really into and reading at the moment. Neville Goddard, his inspiration, he talks about his teacher was called Abdullah. Now, we don't know too much about Abdullah. He was somebody from Ethiopia. But not much is written about him. It's hard to find any information about him. But he studied with him for 5 years, and now he's not with us anymore. But he has incredible literature out there to help you shift your perspective. Rhonda Byrne, the creator of the movie The Secret, she learned from Wallace Wattles. Wallace Wattles was the author of The Science of Getting Rich. Genevieve Behrend has got a book called Your Invisible Power. She's also an incredible teacher. She studied, when she's not with us anymore either, but she studied with Thomas Troward. So my point here is that all of these people, and also Dr. Joe Dispenza, someone I really admire, and I went to his advanced retreat. He studied from Ramtha for 17 years. So my point is here, right? My point is here that anybody that's doing anything magnificent in the world had a teacher. Anybody that's doing anything magnificent in the world has applied themselves to this principle. It's about learning and growing every single day. We really should be on a daily basis feeding the mind. I've said this in other videos as well. It's about feeding the mind. It's about nurturing the mind, because the mind left unattended is just like untamed wild horses running everywhere. That was my video yesterday. So apply yourself to information. Apply yourself to knowledge. Work with a coach. Buy books, buy courses, find somebody that inspires you, and study, because it's all about personal growth, personal development. The happiest people in the world, the most successful people in the world, or not necessarily the happiest, but the most successful people in the world have studied, have learned, have grown, have applied themselves to new information. So put that on your daily to-do list. Read a couple of pages of something. So if you don't know where to start, or if you don't know where to start, like I also sometimes I listen to audiobooks whenever I'm in the car and driving. So I'm always feeding myself information. I like to read something before I go to bed. So I read a few pages. Sometimes I read a few pages, sometimes one page, sometimes not much at all. I might just read a statement or a quote, but it's about consistently exercising your brain. It's exercising your mind for expansion, for knowledge. If you're not happy where you are right now in your life, it just simply means that there's something you don't know. That's all. That is just there's something you don't know. Now, a coach can help you with that. I can help you with that. I have a coaching program, Manifest Intensive. You can ask me about that. It's a 1-month coaching program. So apply yourself. What is it that you want to learn? What is it that you want to shift in your life? What is it that you wish you could change? And then you can go, for example, if you want to read a book but you don't know which book to read, then you can just either Google top 10 books on whatever your subject is, whether it's money or manifestation or health or abundance or investing, whatever it is. Or you can go to, this is what I like to do as well sometimes, I go to a bookstore and I go into the self-help section, the personal development section, and I just skim the surface. I just skim the surface of the books and I look at whichever one's calling out to me. I remember probably 15 years ago, I think I was down at the coast. I was down at the coast because I live inland. I live 2 hours from the coast. And I remember being at the coast in a bookshop. And I remember looking through in the self-help section. And I was thinking, what do I need to learn? And you can also play with the universe. You can also ask, what is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need to learn? And you can put that intention out there and wait to see what happens. Okay, so you can do that. Put that intention out, wait to see what happens. I remember when I went into that bookstore, I was ready to learn. I just was really wanting to grow personally, just to expand my mind and just to figure out what life is about. And I remember going into that bookshop and I remember seeing this book. It was Conversations with God, book 1 by Neale Donald Walsh. And I sort of looked at it and I thought, not sure if I'm ready for that. And I picked it up out of the bookshelf and I flicked it through, and it was probably a bit too far-fetched for me back then. So I did put it back on the bookshelf, but another time I ended up reading that book and it was life-changing, but I wasn't ready for it at the time. Then another time, see, when you seek, you shall find. When you ask, it is given. Okay, that's the principles of universal law. Now, so when you ask, when you project a need that you have, something will come up, either the right coach or the right program or the right book or just some information will cross your path. Trust me on that, but you've got to be open to it, okay? So another time I was doing a play. This was back in the late 90s or mid 90s, I think. I was doing a play and this guy that was acting my husband in the play. He was reading this book all the time between all of our scenes. And I was just so mesmerized how he was because at that stage I had never read a book. I didn't want to read a book. I was kind of burned from school and I thought, nah, I'm hanging up my books, my reading for life. That's how much I was against it. And then, so between all of these takes, he was reading this book, and I asked him, what's this book about? And he says, when it's your time, it'll cross your path. And that's all he said. And I remember thinking back then that was a bit far-fetched for me and that was a bit weird. But then he gave me the title of the book and he just left it at that, and I left it at that, and I thought, yeah, okay then, or whatever. And then 2 weeks later, I was dropping off my son to one of his friends' places, and I was chatting with his mum, and I just mentioned, for some reason, I mentioned the name of this book, and she goes, I have it. Do you want to read it? Do you want to borrow it? And I remember thinking, wow, that's really weird, because I wasn't open to this information back then, and at that stage, that was kind of like my turning point in life. It was, I think, in 95 or 96. So she gave me that book and I read that book and I was blown away. It was James Redfield's Celestine's Prophecy. And in that book, it was all about how there is no such thing about coincidence, and everything leads to something bigger, but it leads to what you're asking. So everything leads to something that you're asking. And that book also was a game changer for me, because it made me view life differently, it made me view reality differently, and it made me view synchronicities differently. So what is it that you need to learn that you want, where you want change? What do you need to learn where you want change? What book have you got on your shelf that's waiting to be read? Or what book can you go out and get? Or what audio can you listen to? YouTube has probably millions of, or hundreds of thousands of free audio books that you can read. So I've just downloaded, where is it? I had it. because this is for free as well. I've just downloaded this and printed it, As a Man Thinketh, and it's only like a 21-page book, and I'm going to read this as well. So what is it that you need to learn to grow? Okay, so that's my little tip for you today. Always keep growing, otherwise you'll be root bound. When you're root bound, there's no room for growth, there's no room for change. You can't change on the external world until the internal world changes. Now the internal world needs to grow to something different to what it is now in order for that to happen on the outside world. So let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know if this is a live or a replay, and I will see you all again tomorrow. Remember, keep expanding your mind, keep growing, otherwise you'll be root bound, and you don't want to be root bound. You want to be free, you want to be happy, you want to be, hey beautiful, we'll be on a call in a second. So learn. Always be open to learning, because that's how you become. You can't become something other unless you've created the space in your mind, in your subconscious, in your conscious mind, in your subconscious mind, and in your heart center actually as well, because it's all about growth. It's about growth and expansion. So come and join us in the Journey to Manifesting official Facebook group. If you want to keep getting these trainings or this information, I do live trainings in there as well. And I will see you all again tomorrow. So I'm about to jump on a call to the UK. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.